Hello, I'm your superhero critic. When it comes to special effects and a superhero movie, a lot of movies tend to go overboard. Now, the specific movie I'm speaking of, when it comes to their special effects, they are extremely special. And the only reason I am doing this movie is because it was requested.
And the only reason I'm here is because you're forcing me to be. This is a superhero-related movie, not a demonic one.
If I'm going down, you're going down.
Fine, but you owe me one. I'm Reaper Rob, he's a superhero critic, and this is Green Lantern. Kill me now.
Hey, no surprises here, but the movie starts with a narration on events that have already happened.
Guardians of the universe built a world from where they could watch over all of existence. The planet Oa. They divided the universe into 3,600 sectors. A ring powered by the energy of will was sent to every sector to select a recruit. In order to be chosen by the ring, it was said one must be without fear. Together, these 3,600 recruits formed the intergalactic peacekeepers known as the Green Lantern Corps.
And I'm already bored.
Me too, Rob. Me too.
With even more narration, we learn that the movie's main villain, Parallax, has been set free due to some random aliens showing their fear.
6 months later, the Green Lantern, whose name is Abin Sur, who, by the way, looks like a giant penis, has a meeting with Sinestro that is quickly interrupted by attacking aliens, and Ab then heads to Earth.
We then jump straight to Earth where our hero Hal Jordan is sleazing it up with some chick. We learn that our hero is late for work, piloting and testing a new plane design, which we see him testing with his co-workers. Eventually, he gets cocky and tries to do maneuvers that shouldn't be done at all, while we consistently get bombarded by flashbacks after flashback of his father dying in a plane explosion. Why does it seem most superheroes have to lose their parents way before or way after they get their powers? Does that usually make any sense?
Maybe it comes with the territory of being a hero. You don the mask, you become an orphan. After being yelled at by his boss and fired, he gets into a fight with the movie's love interest, Carol, about being irresponsible.
A quick glance at Abin Sur, we see the lantern ring depart from him and find the next chosen one.
Next we go to Hal's nephew's house. Why? To give his nephew his birthday gift. For almost an entire 5 minutes, we get more talking about being responsible and being less fearful.
Can we just get to something interesting already?
Well, that was interesting.
Hal runs to the aid of Abin Sur when he sees the crashed ship, but Sur gives him the ring and lantern right before he passes. Hal then calls his token random friend to pick him up wherever the ring had teleported him to.
I'm sorry, but that friend is way too accepting of what's going on. If I was him, I would be questioning why the fuck there's a goddamn alien.
Sinestro argues with the Guardians about Abin Sur's death and who and what Parallax really was. The Guardians turn him down when he asks to take on the enemy himself.
Now we meet Dr. Hector Hammond, the secondary villain of the movie who was chosen by his father to do the autopsy on Abin Sur. While he does that, Hal activates the lantern.
Oh yeah, we get to another argument of Carol and Hal bitching at each other about responsibilities.
And I'm bored again.
You and me both.
After our long, boring conversation, Hal leaves the bar and gets jumped by ex-coworkers. They get the upper hand until Hal puts the ring on.
Hey! My face is just getting warmed up.
Welcome! Punch!
The ring then teleports Hal to the Lantern Corps and he awakens in a fully CGI'd shitty costume.
Okay, I understand CGIing the environments, the planets, Parallax, all the powers, But why did they have to CGI the costume? Like, seriously? They couldn't take the money and put it towards a fucking costume?
Maybe they didn't have the fucking budget.
Don't give me that bullshit. They could have taken the money that they used to CGI the costume and made a fucking costume. Hal then meets the alien Tomar Ray, who informs us that Hal is the first ever Green Lantern, and he then gives him a tour of the corpse, only to lead him into a giant Green Lantern gathering, and the movie's plot is then once again told to us by Sinestro.
I've called you here to this unprecedented gathering because we face an unprecedented danger. Our 4 Lantern brothers were killed by an enemy called Parallax. An enemy we don't yet fully understand. We do know it's powerful enough to destroy entire civilizations. Powerful enough to defeat even Abin Sur, our finest warrior, whose light can never be replaced.
We then get to the movie's training montage when Hal meets the alien Kilowog. Kilowog tries to teach Hal that the power of will can overpower anything.
Your constructs are only gonna be as strong as your will, and your will is pathetic. I'm gonna work you, and I'm gonna hit you until your will is strong enough to be worthy.
Sinestro interrupts the training session because he feels that Hal should not have been Sur's replacement to begin with. He wants to see what Hal has for himself, and during this meeting, Sinestro taunts Hal with the fact that he still has fear in his mind, and that he could not have made it as a lantern. Hal gets pissed off and storms off back to Earth, giving up being a lantern.
Back to Hector, whose telekinetic powers have been manifesting, and like any new coming villain, he takes out his anger on an asshole student.
That looks fun as hell.
Only you would think of something like that is fun.
And your point is?
No point, just stating the fact that you're weird.
And you dress up like a superhero and you have the nerve to call me weird?
Good point. Sinestro goes to the Guardians, and after he learns this backstory of Parallax, he suggests forging a ring of yellow energy to fight fear with fear.
Back to Earth, we see a party being held by Senator Hammond, and after a lot of personal insults, Hector tries to kill his father, only for Hal to make his superhero debut to public, saving Hammond's life using a goddamn manifested energy Hot Wheels track.
Really? A Hot Wheels track? You couldn't think of anything else to do. You have this power to manifest anything your will commands, and you choose a fucking Hot Wheels track.
Don't fuck with the Hot Wheels.
Regardless of whether or not they're awesome, it could have been something so much better.
And here we have Hector flipping out because he can't have Carol and couldn't kill his dad. Oh, and he also now looks like the Elephant Man.
Hal's friend comes over, and after Hal confides in him that he's a lantern, he shows off his shitty CGI suit.
Don't they always get the girl?
No. Batman
does, Superman does, Spider-Man does.
No. Batman has a different girl every movie, Superman only has Lois, and Spider-Man bounces between Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy and treats both of them like shit. So no.
Hal then goes to speak to Carol, who quickly figures out that it's Hal under the CGI.
How?
Finally, a female character in a superhero movie who knows the superhero is who they are.
Yeah, and a domino mask isn't as good as a pair of glasses or a deep voice.
We then get yet another conversation argument of Carol telling Hal to stop giving up on everything.
You'd think after so many people tell him to stop being fearful and to stop giving up, he'd learn to stop being fearful and giving up.
Clearly not.
Hector makes it back to his dad's shop only to be betrayed and forced into doing tests who clearly doesn't want to do. So in retaliation, he does what he can and kills all scientists and security guards. And he almost kills his father until Hal bursts through.
The fight between Hal and Hector is pretty shitty in my opinion. It's not that exciting at all, and it all happens in less than 3 minutes, right before Hal is thrown into a pillar.
Hector then decides to play counselor as he probes Hal's mind. Hal retaliates by placing the ring on Hector to give him a direct link and a threat from Parallax.
You are the ring of the lantern that imprisoned me. You will suffer the same fate. Once I have devoured your world, I will have all the strength I need to defeat the core and destroy the Guardians.
And what a fucking surprise! Yet another speech from Carol about not giving up. Seriously, you would think Hal has gotten it by now.
The Guardians have forged the Yellow Ring, and Sinestro tries convincing them to let him use the ring to take down Parallax via fear versus fear, but Hal steps in and demands he be the one to take Parallax down using hope instead of fear, even though all he really does is repeat the same fucking things Carol and everyone else has been saying the whole goddamn movie.
Hal tricks Hector into wearing the ring, and we get the weirdest orgasm sound.
No surprise here, but Hal lies to Hector that the ring has to choose you. Parallax then shows up and devours Hector.
The battle is then taken into the streets with Hal getting his ass thrown around the entire city, and he eventually says the famous Lantern motto.
Bright is dead. Black is and when you're gone, I'll destroy everything you ever loved.
No evil shall escape my sight.
Your family, your home, your planet will be no more.
Not those who worship evil's
The
might.
entire human race will be wiped out because you, Hal Jordan, were afraid.
Beware my power. Green Lantern's light.
The fight is then taken into space where in an anticlimactic ending, Hal punches Parallax into the sun.
Falcon Punch! The end of the movie is kind of simple. First, we get Hal getting congratulated by the rest of the Lantern Corps for doing his job. We then get a crappy lovey-dovey scene with Carol as Hal flies away to start a hero career, and then we get a closing narration before the credits roll.
Of all the lanterns who have ever worn the ring, there was one whose light shined brightest. At first, his humanity was thought to be a weakness, and yet it proved to be his greatest strength.
And there you have it, one of the worst superhero movies on the planet. And on Ryan Reynolds' behalf, I'm kind of glad they did not write a sequel movie. And I personally think they should do a reboot. Because with Ryan Reynolds, you can only work with what you got.
Yeah, like me and this shitty script.
Fuck you, you Joker dick writing asshole.
You pathetic excuse of a Zorro's whore.
I'm the superhero critic, he's Reaper Rob, and we'll stay super as long as you stay awesome.